Manav is, one of the youngest entrepreneurs that I have come across. And recently he has got an admit from UC Berkeley, one of the top most universities that is there across the globe. So, Manav, again, welcome. So,
Yeah.
okay, can you please, introduce about yourself to our fellow aspiring entrepreneurs, and also can you talk about your idea, the problem that you're trying to solve?
Yeah. So, hi everyone. I'm Manav, and I just graduated from grade 12 in Oak Ridge International School in Hyderabad. And yeah, I absolutely love entrepreneurship and anything to do with technology, and all of it really excites me. And so, the startup that I'm working on right now is something called Apoyo. So, what that is basically it's a mobile app for any caregiver of Alzheimer's patients. So I'll explain what Alzheimer's is first to you. So that's basically a disease where the person starts to lose memory and starts to forget daily tasks like showering, eating meals, or even like watering plants and all of that. And so what my app does is it helps the caregivers and the family members to remind the patient of daily tasks like of eating meals and everything, as well as to track the safety of the patient at all times. And that's basically the problem that we're trying to solve right now. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So, if at all you can, talk about, when did you come across this idea and how did you implement this idea? What pushed you to, implement this idea? Right now, if at all you see, everyone is in the ideation stage. We all have identified a problem, and then we have come up with some ideas and also solutions. And I really want you to think about, to give your inputs on, how do we, like, what made you to implement the idea, when did you implement the idea? So that is something that we would love to hear.
Yeah, so I basically started this company back in June of 2019 last year. And I have a very personal connect to the problem that I'm trying to solve because one of my co founders, who's my friend, his grandmother has Alzheimer's disease. And seeing the problem that he was facing and even talking to other caregivers and other family members of patients, that really made me passionate about the problem and pushed me to solve the problem through this app. And since then, we've created an MVP and we've tested it with real family members and patients. And now we are working on beta testing of the app to move it forward. Yeah.
Okay, so you were mentioning about MVP, the minimum viable product. So how long did it take you to, build your MVP once, the moment you got an idea till MVP, how long did it actually take?
Right. So the MVP was basically all the basic features that we need in the app, and it took us around 2 months to build the MVP since we started our idea. So around in July end, we had finished our MVP, and then we went for testing with real users of the MVP to get feedback on the product. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay. So here, you've been seeing, a lot of students together. What is the three features what are the three features that you really want everyone to develop at their very early age, at the schooling age? Because you also started your venture when you were in the school. And, what are the three main features that everyone has to work on right from the school level to become an entrepreneur like you?
Yeah, so firstly, it's very important. I feel number one is to be very open minded at all times and to like you need to realize as an entrepreneur, especially as a student, that what your idea of some industry or of some problem is, it may not always be right. And your solution that you're trying to create right now, it may not be what the customer actually needs. So you
Yeah.
need to be open minded to feedback and to learn from what is the customer telling you and what is the real need of the customer to actually improve, and that way you can grow as an entrepreneur, which I feel is really valuable. And secondly, I feel that failure is very common, especially for all entrepreneurs. They usually face failure in their journey sometime, and you
Yeah.
need to be prepared as when you found your startup to face this failure not once, not twice, but many times throughout your journey. So you need to be determined, you need to be perseverant and actually push through all these failures, and that will make you really successful at the end. And finally, I also feel that another thing that y'all should pay attention to is to find some kind of mentor or build connections in the network to kind of have someone who you can always speak to, who's experienced as an entrepreneur. So you can always ask that person questions and get feedback. And that really helps, especially as you're very young right now.
Yeah. So yeah, three things. Very, very valuable inputs that you have given. I also agree to that. We have to be really open-minded. Yes, every day, because whatever idea that we are coming up is definitely not the final thing, right?
Yeah.
Every day we need to understand the customer requirements, and every day we need to start understanding if at all we are in the right space or not. We need to validate our idea on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely.
And second one is failure. When you are talking about failure, I know that you have never failed in your academics earlier, but you have seen some failures with your previous venture,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. So when you are actually failing in your startup ecosystem, or when you are getting failed in your startups, how was that failure? How did you handle that failure? And here, what is one suggestion or one advice that you want to give to all the youngsters here to how do they have to handle the failures? Because here, no one has actually failed in our academics. Everyone
Yeah.
is really good with academics, but when it comes to this startups or say experimentation, definitely we are going to fail. So during those times, during those critical times, how do we have to keep up to ourselves?
Yeah, so after you worked really hard and then you face some failure, it will be initially you'll feel bad and you may feel down, especially. But what I feel is really important is that you shouldn't take it personally, and you shouldn't feel that there's something wrong with you or with your confidence or anything like that. But instead, see the failure as an opportunity to learn and to improve your product, because whenever you fail, you will get some feedback from the customer, and you can use that to actually modify your product, or even maybe move towards a different kind of problem or a different kind of market. And you should take it as a learning opportunity, and you can grow from any failure. So I recommend always be prepared, and then you can learn. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope everyone is ready to go through that failure. To taste that failure. I think this is what Manav is mentioning. We should be ready, and we should be ready to face the consequences, the worst case consequences. We need to be ready for that. And okay, before we open the question and answers for all our members out here, you're talking about say UC Berkeley. You've gotten admit there, especially the students who are there in the high school, from ninth grade and above. What are the things that you, I want you to share your experience while you are applying for the universities, and how entrepreneurial courses or say entrepreneurship experience has helped you to crack, admissions in such top-notch universities.
Yeah, definitely. So for anyone who's aspiring for the colleges, one thing you should keep in mind is that entrepreneurship is a great activity to have in your application. You should definitely keep going with your entrepreneurship, because it shows the college that you can make a change, and that you like to make an impact, and that you're confident, you can communicate, and all of those skills, it shows through your entrepreneurship. So definitely go ahead with it. And even in my case, I could talk about my startups in my interviews and in my essays, and that really helped me to showcase like my personality as well. And I definitely recommend Schoolpreneur Summit is a great opportunity to put on your application for colleges, because it really shows that you have some level of like proficiency as an entrepreneur, and that you can present pitch decks and you can communicate well, and that definitely helps for anyone who's applying to the colleges. Yeah.
Okay, that's a great insight. Yes, I also recommend. All the students here. Do not take this as a just a 5 day or say just a workshop, or do not take this as some summer camp activity. All of this these learnings, no matter you are going to travel with Metamorphosis further or not, this entire this learning is really really important. And later you will definitely realize, I want you to mention it in all your statement of purposes, or on your profiles. This is going to help add a lot of value, because that is what I was mentioning in my first session also. People like say Harvard, Google, and all of these bigger organizations or educational institutes, or organizations, they're all looking for these kind of extracurricular activities from the students. and keep ideating. Talk about your ideas, whatever you have been ideating in your in your profiles. That is really important. So before we wrap up this session, one suggestion that you want to give to all of us. Of course, you have given three main features that everyone should have, but as early as there are students from seventh grade and up here in our session. We have students from 11th, 12th also. There are some students who have already got ideas. They have already got some market tractions. I don't know if Arnav is there in the call, but Arnav has already got his idea similar to yours. So one advice or suggestion that you wanted to give, especially one advice that you want to give to sum it up.
Yeah, so the best advice I could give is that as you're young right now, you have the opportunity to go out and start a company. And even if you fail, you will still be able to grow from that. And you don't have much responsibilities in life right now. So I think right now is the best time for you to actually start trying entrepreneurship and try to start a company. Like, it may not be a big problem. It can just be some problem you're facing, you personally, or you're seeing others face as well, which you feel needs to be solved. And you can go out and solve that with entrepreneurship. So definitely keep going ahead with this entire entrepreneurial mindset and everything, because it will definitely help you in the future. And that's all I can say, honestly.
Okay, thanks, Manav. So, any questions for Manav, guys? I mean, you can shoot up questions. We have about 3 to 5 minutes more time to discuss with Manav. When did Manav sir start his business and spread it? How did the word go all the way to his university? Good one.
So I started in June of 2019, and
I think you started Apoyo in June. I think before that you started.
Before that, I worked on the skill sync idea for Schoolpreneur after Schoolpreneur, but that didn't really work out, and we didn't get much traction. So I moved to this Apoyo idea. But after that, for the university, I basically, like, you can put it on your application and then you can submit it as in your essay, your statement of purpose and all, and then you can show it to the university. So that's how I did it.
Yes. So someone is asking, what's your age?
17.
17. So he's 17 years of age. So Manav is 17, but he started his entrepreneurial journey when he was 15 itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, one question even I did not ask you is, how did you manage, school and between your school academics and your startup, I guess. Yes.
Yeah.
Who has asked that question?
So what I did is basically I made a schedule for every day, and I allocated time for like 2 hours for my startup and then 2 hours for homework and exams. So that way I balanced my work between my startup and school. And I think once you get the hang of it, you can really manage your time well that way. So I definitely recommend scheduling.
Excellent. Okay. So, but do you really think that academics are academics is a block to start something on your own? See, there is a proper myth, right? People all say that we need to drop out from the school to start something on our own. So, what's your take on that?
I definitely say continue with your academics, please, because it's very important to go through the full schooling process, and you learn a lot in school that you may not learn outside. Even if it's not directly helpful for your startup, it does help you in some way to grow. And so definitely continue with your school, and you can pursue your startup part-time and when you're at home instead. That's better.
Okay. So, someone asked, who inspired you?
Who inspired me? I don't really have. If I could say someone, then it's a bit cliche, but I'd say Steve Jobs. He's been my role model since like 7-8 years, and ever since I saw how he started Apple and the iPhone and everything, he really inspires me with all his work. Yeah.
Okay. So Arnav has asked one question. So how do we convince a user to try out our product for testing? Say, how did you do that? I mean, how did you do the testing, initial testing? How did you test your MVP in the market first?
So for user testing, what I'd suggest is that find the customer who has the biggest need for your product, who will be willing to use it, like, because he or she is like facing the problem like majorly, like the most, whoever is facing the problem most, try and target those people. That's what I did for my app, and then they'll be willing to use the product and test it because they want a solution. So if you
Yeah.
find that particular customer who's really in need of it, then they will be willing, and you can promise value as well. So
And in your case, I think some of your friends, family members are personally
yeah,
facing the problem. Hence, you got the
exactly. That
customers
did
on
help.
board. But if at all you ask me, how do we convince a user to try out our product for testing? Definitely, like we need to identify, who is facing the problem. That is the biggest task, biggest challenge
Correct.
that most of us will face, because we really do not know who is actually facing the problem. So
Yeah.
we need to step out. Definitely, it will not happen. People will not come to our doorsteps, or we cannot go to the doorsteps of each and every person and then ask if at all they're facing the problem. I
Mhm.
think in this case, definitely, doing some pre-launch or doing some, some events will definitely
Yeah,
help. Events to launch your idea, so that people who are actually facing the problem will definitely attend those events. So
that's
some
right.
kind of gatherings must happen. Some kind of word of mouth should spread
Mhm.
across, and then we need to start trying out our MVP with them. And Dhruv asked, what problems did you face in your life?
In
Okay.
my life,
Okay.
uh,
Okay, I think whatever problem that you have faced, I think it has come in the form of Apoyo or skill sync. And
yeah, I can't really say any problem in
yeah.
life as such.
So where did you start your company? Hasani has asked. I think
Um, so I basically started the company at this accelerator at MIT called MIT Launch in US. So that was like a 1 month accelerator program where they
okay.
give you mentorship and they give you a bit of funding to launch your company. And then I came to India and I'm doing it here now.
Yeah, it's called launch hits, I guess.
Yeah, launch it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we will discuss that. So what is the app name? Most of them they're asking. It's called Apoyo, Apoyo.
Yep.
Okay, and can we get people to help us with our product? Okay, how to build trust within customer? Akash has asked how to build trust.
Um, how to build trust. Honestly, I think that's more of a branding. If you can tailor your branding to kind of convey an emotion of trust and security, and through your logo, through your messaging to the customer, your ads and all, then you can try and build a relationship that way. And another way is if you personally contact customers and speak with them through interviews and everything, they will gain trust in you. So that's another way to do it.
Okay, and Pranav has asked from Kerala. Pranav is from Kerala. Pranav has asked, what were your scores and major?
So my major is I'm doing a double major in computer science and business because
Yeah,
of entrepreneurship and everything. And my SAT was a 1580 out of 1600. That was like the main score.
I think it's a very good score, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good score. Okay. Anyways, congratulations once again. And last two questions. What is the definition of success in your version?
Definition of success for me is if you're happy doing what you do, if you love doing what you do, you're successful. As long as you have that passion, you're always successful. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, is this your first company? No, I don't think. What are the barricades during the entrepreneurship journey? What are the barricades during the entrepreneurship journey? I think this is the last.
Uh, I think the main barricade during the journey is yourself, because when you face the failure for the first time, if you're not able to lift yourself up and move on, if you're not able to pull out of that challenge, and if you feel emotional and all, then you yourself will be a barricade for your journey. So I feel your internal mindset is the most important as an entrepreneur to continue along that journey.
Yeah. Okay. So cool. So I think, thank you so much, Manav, once again for joining, for taking your time and sharing your insights. We will keep in touch. Guys, I mean, you can find Manav on LinkedIn if at all you wish to connect and get some more advisors from him, especially on, the universities, or say, if at all you want anything with respect to entrepreneurial journey, definitely you can get in touch with Manav. His LinkedIn name I'm going to message. It's Manav.
I'm posting the link on it. It's fine here.
Yeah, please post the link on.
Yeah, I just did.
Yeah, cool. So you can connect with Manav there, and you can share. You can ask any questions that are there. You can connect with them on LinkedIn. Thank you so much, Manav. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pavan. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
so much. Bye bye.